a happy beginning. Oh. Hi everyone, let's talk about Once Upon a Time Season 6, Episode 21 and 22, The Final Battle. I'm gonna start this review by letting you know that I actually got my wisdom teeth pulled out a few days ago and it's still swollen a little bit, still hurting, so I'm not gonna be able to talk exactly like I usually do. I might be a little more subdued in my review, but I'm still very excited on the inside. This was the final episode of season 6. Let's talk about it. First, the Enchanted Forest. We find out pretty quickly that the Black Fairy's curse has sent everyone except Henry to the Enchanted Forest to separate them from Emma. And something else that we also find out pretty quickly is that the battle is actually the battle for Emma's soul, and the less she believes in everything, the more each world is being destroyed, which is a big problem because that's kind of where they live. I just kind of thought, that just seems like a really, really bad setup. Like, your world only exists if the savior believes in you. So if the savior doesn't believe in you, you're shit out of luck. Great. Can we have a failsafe somewhere? Failsafe? Anyone? But of course, it won't go down without a fight. And I personally really enjoyed the scenes between Hook and Charming as they go get the bean. Which, by the way, why didn't anybody want to listen to Hook's plan? Like, he brings up the fact that he has a plan or has an idea, and then Regina is like, oh, you don't know. And they don't even listen to him. And I'm like, wait, like, Hook has an idea. Like, can't you just at least listen? Like, he's not dumb. I didn't get why they just completely dismissed the fact that he had an idea without even listening to the idea. But anyway, it actually led to fun moments between him and Charming going to get the bean and dragons! And for a second there, I was like, Game of Thrones! No, it's not coming back until July 16th. So, and then my second favorite part in the Enchanted Forest was that we saw the evil queen again, which meant we had 2 evil queens once again. I think the best part was that her and Robin are now stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, so they both kind of became Robin Hood in a way, like, the way Robin was, the original Robin. I was like, oh, it's just so perfect. I love it. I almost wish we had actually seen Robin in this episode. That would have been even better. But I guess they couldn't get Sean McGuire, but I'm just saying, it would have been great. And I think we really see how much the evil queen has changed because she does sacrifice herself for everyone else, which, of course, at the end she comes back, so it's okay, but it's still like she didn't know, and she just kind of was like, go, I'll save you. So that was the Enchanted Forest. Now we're moving to the actual Black Fairy curse and Storybrooke. So as I said, everyone has been sent away except for Henry, which, again, why is Henry never sent away? Why does he always remember? I'm still so unclear about what is so special about him. Is it because he was the one that originally went to get Emma? Or, does he have special powers that prevent him from being touched by curses? I don't know. Maybe I didn't pay attention, but I feel like it was never really made clear. Like, we can guess, because maybe he's the author, so he's the one writing those stories, so you can't affect him. But yeah, I was just like, wow, that's a big fail in the Black Fairy's curse, because Henry is always the one who's like helping Emma really believe in herself. That said, I found it really fun that it was sort of back to the beginning, how everybody forgot who they were. The Black Fairy, Fiona, took over Regina's part as the mayor and as Henry's mother. The clock tower is not working again. I mean, it was just like, oh my god, it's just back to the beginning. This is so perfect. It's a great way to kind of tie it all together. I did love the moment where Henry walks into Gold and he's like, yeah, I'm your grandson. Move over. And then realizing that Rumple actually knew because he's awake. And I love how Rumple is mad at his mom, like, betrayed him, but I'm like, yeah, you kind of betrayed everybody else too. What goes around comes around kind of thing, but I guess it's a good thing she betrayed him, otherwise he wouldn't have done the right thing eventually. But I'm just saying, I was like, Rumple, you kind of started out betraying everyone too. So I'm just saying. And I do have to mention those pictures of Belle supposedly around the world. And I'm looking at those pictures and I'm like, come on, that is like totally Photoshopped. It totally looks fake. Like, that is so unbelievable. I was just like, wow, come on. And of course, it doesn't matter because Rumple already knew that, she was lying and all of that. But I was just like, oh, those pictures though, even if he didn't remember, I'd be like, That just doesn't even look real. So anyway, we have Rumple eventually confronting the Black Fairy, letting her know he knows that she took away Belle from him and kind of locked her up somewhere, and he's not really happy, you know. If there's one thing you should know about Rumple is, you know, don't mess with Belle. No matter how much she tries to tempt him with Bellfire, he decides to kill her, which breaks the spell. Unfortunately, it doesn't really stop the battle because twist, darkness can't really kill light. Only light can snuff out light. And so that means that Gideon is really the one who has to fight Emma and kill her. Well, at least that's what the Black Fairy thinks. And in order to do so, she took his heart so he would kill her. Although I have to ask myself, if you as the dark person are controlling the light person and you force them to kill another light person, does that even count? Because the light didn't really kill the other light. Like you, the dark one, or the dark Black Fairy, through the light person, killed the other light one, right? So I'm like, well, that doesn't even work. Which, you know, it didn't, obviously. You didn't really think this through, Black Fairy. Not at all. But what I didn't expect and what I loved so much about the ending of the final battle and how it all kind of worked out is that it wasn't just about Emma being the savior and being selfless and deciding that she would rather die instead of killing Gideon. That wouldn't have been enough if Rumple hadn't finally said no to his own dark side, right? Because he is the dark one. He's always been selfish. He's always kind of eventually looked out for himself. He had some good moments, but overall, you know, his arc, he had a moment where he was being good, but he eventually always kind of goes back to wanting to be the dark one. And I think for the first time, he could have had it all, or at least he thought he could have had it all if he had made sort of the wrong choice and hadn't tried to stop Gideon. But for once, I think he really thought of his son and that he didn't want his son to kill Emma or just to kill in general. He really wanted something good for his son, and he was willing to sacrifice his own happiness for him. And that sacrifice, in addition to Emma's sacrifice, was what would defeat darkness, or what was going to win the final battle. It had to be both darkness and light rejecting darkness. Or, as the book says, when both good and evil did the right thing, faith was restored and the final battle was won. I thought that was really beautiful because you knew Emma was going to do the right thing, but I didn't expect Rumple to also be part of the prophecy. They I guess sort of hinted at it because in a way it seemed like he was always tied to that prophecy. Even though he became the Dark One, he possibly was supposed to be the savior if it wasn't for the Black Fairy. So in that way, he was kind of tied to her. So he had to do, I don't know. It's just really cool. It's all tied together, and it wasn't just Emma. Because, like I said, Emma, you know she's going to do the right thing, but I think it was definitely harder for Rumple to do the right thing than it was for Emma. Emma was that's just who she is. Rumple had to really push away who he is to do it. So I thought that was great. And on top of everything, to kind of tie the first season back to this one, you have Emma, who we think might be dead, who gets kissed by Henry, who says he loves her, and then he wakes her up the same way that when she kissed him at the end of season 1, it woke him up and broke the curse. So I was like, oh, it's just like, there's so many tie-ins to like season 1. This is great. And then you have Gideon, who's back as a baby. That just got me. So Rumple, by doing the right thing, actually got his son back. And to wrap up everything, I loved how they showed what everyone is doing. It seems like Hook is now working with Emma, which is kind of cool. And Robin has proposed to the evil queen. I was like, oh my god. And then you have Rumple and Belle now where that little baby Gideon, getting to raise him as they were meant to. And you get a final sort of dinner at Granny's. Well, probably not final for them, but for us. Final dinner at Granny's. It's such a perfect ending. And it was so great how every story got wrapped up. I think if they had wanted to end the show there, it would have been great. I mean, I was just like, yeah, just end the show. I mean, this is great. You don't really need anything else. But they actually did renew the show, so we are getting Once Upon a Time for a 7th season. However, as you probably guessed from some of the scenes we got, or like a little bit of the tease we got in the episode, they're going a completely different direction, or they're kind of starting a new book or new story. So I want to talk about that season 7. First of all, Jennifer Morrison, who plays Emma, did say she will not be back, and there are a lot of characters who won't be back in season 7. So Emma won't be back, Snow and Charming will not be back, Belle and Zelina will not be back. I think at this point only Rumple, Regina, and Hook are confirmed. They will be the main characters in the new season. Although the other characters won't be regular, it seems that they are leaving the door open for them to appear, possibly, especially Emma. So she might be back here and there. I'm not really sure what they're planning, but it sort of makes sense in a way, because as we saw in those teas, it seems like we're going to be following the adventures of Henry as an adult. And I wasn't too surprised with that twist, because I had read a lot of theories about, the casting for this new character, and I had read that a lot of people theorized that it would be Henry, so I thought, oh, it's definitely Henry, because it made total sense. It's just a great way to sort of reboot the show. So we get again a callback to the first season, where you have Henry finding Emma, who's his mom, and she doesn't really want anything to do with him. She doesn't really believe in fairy tales. And in this case, you have Henry, who now has a daughter called Lucy, who goes to find him, and he doesn't really seem to remember her. And she has a Once Upon a Time book, although it looks a little bit different. I think the twist here is that we first see him actually send her away. So it seems like he was in the Enchanted Forest, and he sent her away to see her mom. We don't know who the mom is. Who's the mom, right? It's going to be important. Then we see Tiger Lily, who tells her that she will be reunited with her father at some point, but the details after that are a bit fuzzy. They don't really know what's going on, which I'm guessing is her finding Henry when he doesn't really remember her. So what happened from there to now, and what will happen after, what are they running away from? And then, is the book that she has the same book that Henry had, or is it a new book of stories, or is it the same book with more pages? I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. I'm personally curious about season 7. I will definitely be giving it a shot. I think the best way to approach it personally is to think of it as sort of a new show, maybe, or like a new book. So we had the whole Emma storyline that closed, so now we're starting something else in the same universe, but with some new characters. So you might see some familiar faces, but not necessarily, it won't be focused on Emma anymore. It'll be focused on Henry. So it's kind of like a new generation story, which could be fun, actually. If they do it well, we might fall in love with some new characters, and if they keep it in the same world and the same kind of storytelling, I think there's a lot of potential there, which is why I'm very curious to see it happen. I think you can't tune in expecting to watch the same Once Upon a Time show that you've been watching. Obviously, your characters have ended their stories, and so we need to be kind of open for this new story. But yeah, I'm kind of curious, because so far for 6th season, they've come out with really good stories and really good twists. So if they can find a way to make this new story of Henry interesting, the book of Henry, right? The book of Henry interesting. We closed the book of Emma, now it's the book of Henry, and it could be fun. Until then, for now, I think I will say goodbye to Once Upon a Time, the first book, the book of Emma. It's been fun. I've enjoyed every single season, and I love the twists and turns. I love the characters. So thanks, and thank you for watching all my reviews this season. It's been really fun to watch this final season of Once Upon a Time, or at least I call it the final season for the Emma story. And it's been fun to kind of theorize about what was going on and all of that, and see the musical episode, and it was just great. Of course, I would love to hear what you thought of this final episode. Were you satisfied with the way things were wrapped up? What do you think about this new direction for season 7? Are you looking forward to it? Are you interested in the new season? Let me know in the comments. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did tear up. actually in this episode. And actually the part where I teared up a lot was when we saw the writing of when good and evil both did the right thing, faith will be restored. And that's when I realized that actually Rumple was part of it, and that just really got to me. I don't know, I was just like, oh my god, it was not just Emma, it was also Rumple who just like kind of said no. And I don't know, it really hit me, and I was in tears. And then the Gideon, it was just great. I loved it.